Hello everyone! So I'm in a bit of a pickle because I was supposed to get this video up a couple hours ago, but this week has just been so busy that I did not get the time to film it. So I'm filming it now and it's going up immediately after this. So I'm sorry if any of this video seems rushed. Today I'm going to be doing my October wrap up and my November TBR. I'm so excited because I read not one, not two, not even 5 books in October. I read 10. Which is so crazy. I did not expect to read that many books considering I started reading in the middle of October because I was in a reading slump for a really long time, but let's just hop right into it. So the first book I read is Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and I rated this 5 stars. I picked it up because I was originally going to participate in a readathon before Spookathon, and I just didn't get a chance to do that, but it got me out of my reading slump. It was fast-paced, and I adore the characters. This is the first book I ever read by Victoria Schwab, or V.E. Schwab, and mind-blowingly good. It reminded me why I fell in love with reading in the first place, and I suggest it highly. Highly, highly, highly. It was so good. So then I participated in Spookathon, and I'm just going to run through these really quick because I did do a wrap-up at the end of the video for Spookathon. I will link that vlog down below. The first book I read was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and I do believe this was by Stuart Turton. I don't have the physical book, I listened to it, and I rated that 3 stars. It just wasn't my cup of tea. It was beautifully written, but it was alright. I have a feeling if you are a big fan of thrillers, you would absolutely love this book because it is very intriguing and the author did a really good job with the plot building, but it was just a little bit hard to follow and, like I said, not my cup of tea. The next book I read was Toil and Trouble, because this was the group read, and this is an anthology, so there's a bunch of authors, but I rated this 4.5 stars. The only reason why I didn't get a full 5 is because there was just a couple stories I didn't really enjoy, but overall I adored this book so much. I recommend it to literally everyone because it was so diverse. There was like people of color, and there was LGBT, and there was just such a beautiful, beautiful world, and it made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside, and I just loved it so much that I cried when I finished it because I didn't want it to be over. So yes, highly recommend. The next book I read was actually a middle grade graphic novel, and that is Cucumber Quest by Gigi DG, and this is the first volume, The Donut Kingdom. Now, I rated this 3 stars, but I did purchase the second one because although I didn't really like the plot, because going into it I knew there wasn't going to be that good of a plot, it was a middle grade graphic novel, I think the characters are adorable and the art is just phenomenal. I do plan on continuing this series even though the plot wasn't the best. The next book that I read within the month of October was My Lady Jane. I believe it's by Cynthia Hand, and I rated this 4 stars. Because it was a very, very slow beginning and it was a little strange for me, but the more I read it, the more I absolutely fell in love with it. So much so, in the middle of reading, I picked up My Plain Jane because I just love the writing. Oh, it's by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. So that's who it's by. Absolutely adored this book. I loved the glimpse into history because I actually learned a lot, all while still getting the comedic values, and it was just very, very endearing. Another high recommendation. Alright, you guys, so the next book is another Victoria Schwab book, and that is City of Ghosts. This is also a middle grade, and I read this all in one sitting because it is incredibly, incredibly short, but I adored this. It was 5 stars, and I am just hooked on Victoria Schwab's writing. Everything she does is so beautiful, but I have a conspiracy theory that Victoria Schwab is secretly an EO and had a near-death experience, and that's why she likes writing about them, but don't tell anyone. Like I said, this was amazing, and the way it ended, I messaged my friend immediately and I was like, please tell me that this is a series. And it does appear to at least have another book coming, so I am highly anticipating that and will pick it up immediately. The last book that I read for Spookathon was Coraline. I was planning on reading Neverwhere, but there was a whole situation with that I spoke about in the vlog. But I love the movie so much, so I have a feeling that I was a bit partial to. So this only got like a 3.5 stars, just because there was a lot of differences. But overall, I think it was very, very cute, and it was a quick read, and I loved the illustrations and the concept. And this is the second book I've read by Neil Gaiman, the first being the Graveyard Book, and I just really, really enjoyed this read. Next book I read, I actually listened to on Scribd, and that was The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. Now, I mean, I give this a 3.5 stars, but the more I think about it, the more I do enjoy it. It just gave me a lot of stereotypical, like, vampire, Twilight vibes. So in the beginning, I didn't really enjoy it, but it sort of, if you hear any weird noises, that is my dog. But it sort of gave me, like, a blast from the past, back when I was really obsessed with vampires and werewolves and, like, cheesy romance novels and all of this stuff. So it was actually a very indulgent read, and it was sort of like a guilty pleasure read, so I really did enjoy this book, even though I rated it kind of low. The second to last book that I read, well, technically listened to because the audiobook was highly, highly, highly recommended, was Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book. Oh my god, this book. 5-star rating, so beautiful. By the end of it, I was crying because it hit me so hard. And I'm not usually a thriller person, but this was so beautiful, and it was so creative to have the podcast, and just all of this was so, so amazing. This follows, I believe, a girl named Sadie after her sister's death, and then a man who is investigating the case and just delving into all the history. And it was just crazy the way this ended, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone who's looking for something different. So the last book I read, I finished, I believe, the day before Halloween or on Halloween, and that is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. I also listened to this because I had a lot going on in Halloween, and you can see that in my vlog that I will link below. And at first I rated it 4 stars, and then it slowly went down, my rating, the more I thought about it. And I ended up with like a 3-star rating, I think, because it was good. I thought the world was very interesting. It's something I really haven't read before, which gave it a 4 stars, and I loved the characters. But in the end, it was a bit hard to follow, and the ending was so predictable. It was a very, very predictable ending, so that's why I gave it like a 3.5 star rating. But overall, I think Marisha Pessl did a good job. This was very creative. It just wasn't the book for me. Okay, you guys, now it's time to get into my November TBR. Now this TBR is going to seem kind of short, but that's because I'm not including the Fall into Fantasy readathon that I will be participating later in the month. These are just the overall books that I would like to read, not including those. So the first book that I plan on reading is, you guessed it, another Victoria Schwab book, and this is Vengeful. It is the sequel to Vicious, and I've already started it. I want to say maybe like an 1/8 to a 1/5 of the way through. This guy has a couple dents and bruises, but it adds character, and I'm still really loving it so far. It was very interesting to see how she was going to continue the last book, so I'm interested to see how this ends, and I'm hoping that none of my beloved characters die, but they probably will. So the next book I plan on reading is Caraval. I got this for my birthday last year, and I never picked it up, but I thought it would be a really, really good read for November. And I don't know much about this book. I like to go into books kind of blind, but I've heard that this is a very good book, and I do believe there's a second book out called Legendary. I'm not entirely positive. So this will be the first book I get to after Vengeful. The next book I want to get to, I actually wanted to get to in October, and just the days did not line up, and that is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. So interesting, but the reason I wanted to pick this up isn't because of the plot, although the plot does seem very, very interesting, is that the second book is on Book Outlet, and I wanted to purchase it, but I didn't know if I would like the first book at all, so I figured pick this up before I pick that one up. So that's what we're going to do here. The last book that I would like to accomplish is The Night Circus. So I've heard beautiful things about this world and about the book in general, and I felt like it was a really, really good November read. I heard that it's very immersive and very beautiful, so I'm greatly looking forward to this. I've wanted to read it for a long time. Well, you guys, my camera cut off, so I have to redo that last bit. But I was talking about, where is it? Oh, of course, it's on the bottom of the pile. I was talking about The Night Circus and how excited and how much I am anticipating reading this month. So yeah. what I was saying before the camera cut off is I'm just really excited for November. I'm hoping it's as successful as October was, especially considering there is a readathon this month, but I'm not getting my hopes up because 10 books is a very hefty goal. But I really did enjoy the month of October, and I'm really looking forward to the reads in November. So I cannot wait to see what this month holds. And if you guys liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and share with your book-loving friends and subscribe. I post videos every Sunday and sometimes Wednesday, depending on what my busy schedule allows. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!